what intelligence did they have to suggest that he may be insecure enough to be subject to these ideas?
Yeah. So there is a psychologist who worked with the OSS, a Harvard psychologist. His name was Henry Murray, and he was tasked with doing a psychological profile of Adolf Hitler. Are there any vulnerabilities within his psychology that we can exploit? Maybe do some psychological warfare techniques or something. So Henry Murray wrote this report, an analysis of Hitler's psychology, and in that report, he identified a few things that might have indicated that Hitler had what we might call today like a fragile masculinity, that he verged on the more feminine, something like that. This is what Murray kind of reports. So Murray says that, he was prone to outbursts and very emotional and all kinds of stuff. And he equated this with the more feminine. And so he said, maybe it's possible that he's kind of on the spectrum more towards the feminine side. Stanley Lovell reads this report and he realizes, well, what if we push Hitler further along towards that feminine side? Maybe we can demoralize him or make him go insane or something like that. So Stanley Lovell has this idea. What if we inject female sex hormones into the vegetables that are destined to Hitler's plate that he's going to eat? And if we do that, maybe he's going to eat these vegetables. Maybe it'll kind of tip the balance of his fragile masculinity. Maybe it'll make him grow breasts. Maybe his famous mustache is going to fall out. Maybe, all kinds of stuff. And maybe he'll again become demoralized. And it's not quite clear like how this is going to help, but this is the idea at least. And so Stanley Lovell says that he got this female sex hormone and he had given it to a gardener who supposedly grew the plants that Hitler ate when he was at his eagle nest retreat. Stanley Lovell says that he doesn't quite know what happened to the female sex hormones. Apparently it never, got to Hitler. Either the gardener took the money and kind of ran away, or Hitler, he says, had a big turnover in his tasters as they were preparing his food. But anyways, that was the idea at least. This raises a bunch of questions. If you can get female sex hormones into these vegetables and get it on Hitler's plate that he eats, why not just inject poison into them and kill Hitler in the first place? Why, try to so there's a few kind of iffy kind of flaws in the theory, but that's the idea at least.
I wonder with this idea, were they hoping that he would become so demoralized that he almost gives up on his pursuit? Or were they hoping that it would sort of push him towards making more impulsive and rash and ill-thought decisions? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think an analogy can be drawn to something that was done in the Cold War to Fidel Castro, or the idea at least. During the Cold War, the CIA wanted to do something similar to Castro, the head of Cuba. The idea would be to inject LSD into his cigars. He would smoke one of these cigars, let's say, before he gave a broadcast to the nation. And of course, the LSD would make him kind of hallucinate and appear to be insane. And if he did that, then the people might lose faith in their leader. They might realize that he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's out of his mind. And so maybe something similar was being done with Hitler. If we can make people lose faith in him, well, that's the source of his power in the first place. So maybe they'll give up on him, So I don't know exactly that that's the case, but I would assume that is probably analogous to what was trying to be done with Fidel Castro.
The other one that I wanted to ask you about, because I couldn't understand the idea behind it in terms of what this person who came up with this idea was hoping to achieve or the result would be. But it was this idea of dropping vast amounts of pornography over where Hitler was. What was the idea? What did he want to actually do? Was it literally a case of just dropping pornography from the sky? And sort of, what do you think he was hoping to achieve by that?
Yeah, this is another case of apparently the idea is to demoralize Hitler or make him go insane so that people think he's crazy. But Hitler didn't like pornography. And so the idea was that this isn't an OSS idea. This is a different kind of idea, but it plays into the psychological warfare. The idea would, a couple of airmen had this, and they thought that what if we drop some pornography, like magazines all over Hitler's, where he's staying. He walks outside, he picks it up, he becomes deranged and loses his mind because there's all these naked women. I don't know, again, exactly how that's going to work. So they pitched this idea to like a colonel in the Air Force or the Army Air Force. So they said, how about this? We're going to make Hitler go insane. We're going to drop this stuff. And he said, he basically kicked him out of his office. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. So that didn't go anywhere, but that was the idea, at least. Again, it's kind of hard to see how would that affect things, but hey, they're thinking of it.